All right, folks, we are looking at our semester exam review quiz number 1. If I'm remembering correctly, there are only 4 questions on it, but you've got a whole bunch of attempts that you can use, so you can always come back and look at these questions again. All right, the correct answers will be shown on there starting starting on the day before your test starts. And what we're going to look at is just going through these problems. All right, there's only 4 of them. It shouldn't take too long. So here we go. This first one, by the way, I've got the quiz open right here, and I've got a little notepad over here so y'all can see me showing my work. Okay, so it tells us that FH, the distance from F all the way across to H, is 32, and it gave us these two pieces of that line segment. It split it into a smaller piece on the left and a longer piece on the right. It tells us that the length of the whole thing is 32. All right, this is from way, way on back, close to the beginning of the year. We talked about how you can add together the lengths of these two smaller pieces, and that'll give you the length of the entire segment all the way across. All right, it's just a little bit of common sense that this piece plus this piece equals the whole entire thing all put together. Well, if we do that and we set that up as an equation, that gives us 2x minus 8 equals, here, let's see if I can make that. Let's see if I can get that a little bit bigger here. If we're doing that, we've got 2x minus 8 plus 3x plus 5. Okay? That is the first piece plus the second piece equals the length of the entire thing, 32. All right, after this, we just solve the equation. We've got like terms right there and right there that we can combine together. That'll give us 5x, and then we've got minus 8 and plus 5, which will do minus 3 when we combine those, equals 32. We send the friends home, add 3 on both sides, and then we send the family members home, divide by 5, and x equals 7. So that's our problem number 1, x equals 7. Problem number 2. Problem number 2 is another thing that's going to have a bunch of algebra problems mixed into it. All right. Problem number 2, we're looking at the question, what is the value of x? All right. Now this time we have 3 different angles that are all being added together, and what we see across the bottom is that when we add all 3 of those together, it gives us a straight line straight across the bottom right there. Now the question is, how many degrees do we have if it's a straight angle going right across the bottom? The answer is 180 degrees. Okay, so that's the key piece of information right here, is that if we have a straight angle, that's 180 degrees. That is our key piece of information right there. So what that does for us is it tells us that if we add this angle plus this angle plus this angle, all 3 of those added together should equal 180. So that's exactly the equation that we're going to set up for ourselves. 5x plus 11 plus 3x minus 5 plus 2x plus 14. All right, that's our 3 angles added together equals 180. And after that, it's just like the previous one, where what we want to do is we want to take our like terms, like that one and that one and that one. We're going to combine those together and make it 5x plus 3x plus 2x will be 10x. And then we combine all of our numbers. Let's see, we got 11 minus 5 plus 14. So that'll be 6 plus 14, which is 20. All right. This is a very easy equation to solve once we get it to this point right here. All right, this point right here, very easy, because we can just do like we've always done. X is throwing a party. Okay. He wants to send his friends and family home at the end of the party, so he sends the friends home first. 10x. We subtract 20 on both sides, and then we divide to get the x by itself. And x equals 16. Question number 3. which of these best classifies angle LKN? Well, when we look at that, LKN is this big old mess of an angle going across there, okay? When you see the order of the letters, that order matters when you're talking about what angle, okay? If you were tracing over this angle with your pencil, or in this case with your mouse, you're going from point L to K to N. Now this angle right here, when you look at your protractor, we start at 0 over here and we go up all the way around, and that rotation up here, as best I can tell, is up to 120 degrees. So the question, is it acute, is it an obtuse angle, a right angle, or a straight angle? Well, a right angle is 90 degrees. We talked about that a bunch. A straight angle is 180 degrees. We talked about that a bunch. All you got to know is acute and obtuse. And y'all, this is vocabulary words from about fourth grade. Okay, the way I learned it back in the day was that acute angles, they're the little tiny little cute ones. All right, they're the little cute, tiny little angles. Obtuse ones are the great big obese angles. All right, so this one is bigger than 90 degrees. It's a big wide angle right there, so that's going to be obtuse. Up next, it's asking about angle MWT. All right. This one ends up being kind of a complicated problem. Okay. It's a multi layered problem, but that's not a problem. Okay. That's not going to be an issue because we've talked about everything, all of the knowledge that we need to know for this problem. We have talked about before. It's just going to be combining a couple of different things together, a couple of different pieces of knowledge together. So the first thing we notice is that our angle right here, MWT, does not have any labels inside of it. The only labels that we have are these two angles, MWP and TWS, these ones that are across from each other. Now, when we have angles that are straight across from each other on opposite sides of straight lines, okay, opposite sides of the X like this, those are what we call opposite angles. And what you need to know here, our first piece of key knowledge, is that opposite angles are congruent to each other. Opposite angles are congruent. Okay, so what that means is we can make an equation where this angle, 10x minus 7, equals this other angle down here, 8x plus 3. All right, that little piece of information right there is going to be very helpful because if we can solve for x, that'll tell us what these two measurements are. Okay, and we'll see how that's useful here in a second. So let's solve this equation first. We have x's on both sides of the equal sign right here, right? So what we need to do is get all of our x's onto one side and put all of our constant numbers on the other side. So what I'm going to do first is I am going to get rid of this minus 7. All right? I'm going to add 7 on both sides. That side, it goes away. We just have 10x left by itself. And then we have 8x plus 3 and plus 7 would be plus 10. Now we want to put all of our x's on the other side. Okay, so I'm going to move over this 8x. That side, it all goes away. 10x minus 8x leaves us with 2x equals positive 10. That's all we have left on the right side. And that's pretty easy to tell what it is, right? You just divide and you get x equals 5. Okay, x equals 5, not the end of this problem. Okay, that's important information, but we're not done yet. Okay, we're not done yet because we still have to know some angle measurements. Okay, remember this question is asking about angle measurements. So what we do is we can take this x equals 5 and plug it right back in right here. Okay, that's what we're going to do. We're going to plug it back in, and I'm going to use this equation right here because it's a little bit easier to deal with. We don't have any negative signs, and it's not that hard, really. If you take that x equals 5 and plug it back in on this original equation that we had up here, it turns into this, 8 times 5 plus 3. Well, that's 40 plus 3, and that's just 43 degrees. Okay, what that tells us is that this angle down here, angle TWS down at the bottom, is 43 degrees. That is another key piece of information, that right there. We're not done yet, but that is going to be an important piece of information. First off, if this angle is 43 degrees, something that we need to recognize is that this is an opposite angle. It's also 43 degrees, okay? However, that still doesn't answer our question. What is angle MWT? That's this angle on the left side over here. Okay, if we're dealing with angle MWT, we need to notice that this angle right here, this one that's 43, and this one that's next to it, the one that we're looking for, when you put both of those together, you have a straight line going right across. Those two right there are what we call a linear pair. And that means that this angle plus this angle on the left, the one that we're looking for, equals 180. So if we take this 43 degrees plus our angle, the one that we're looking for, here, let me write that a little bit bigger here. If you take that 43 degrees that we found, plus the angle that we're looking for, MWT, that is going to be equal to 180. Okay, if we're just looking to get this MWT by itself, that's easy. We just got to subtract 43. Angle MWT equals 180 minus 43, which is 137 degrees. And that's what we're looking for right there. All right, so you see how we got this? We started off with these opposite angles right here, and we solved for x. After we solved for x, we plugged it back in to see what this angle was. Okay, so the things that we had to recognize up to this point was first, opposite angles are congruent. And then after we had x, we had to figure out that this angle that was given plus this one that we were looking for was 180 degrees. Okay, that was the only two parts of this problem that involved geometry. Okay, recognizing that these were the same and recognizing that these two were a linear pair. That's all we had to do for geometry. The rest of this was just how well can you solve equations, okay? That's a whole lot of what this class is, okay? That's something that's picked up a whole lot over the semester, is that it really is sometimes just about how well can you solve equations, all right? So keep at it. This is the end of the first quiz. We'll take a look at the next one here in a little bit. Y'all have a good one.